In Argentina, a leaked video reveals how the government and the channel Todo Noticias manipulated an interview to protect the president. In Lebanon, the Israeli occupation army has withdrawn from all the border towns in the south of the country, with the exception of 5 points where it would keep elements of its armed forces. And in Saudi Arabia, talks began between representatives of Russia and the United States to make progress in restoring relations and addressing the end of the conflict in Ukraine, but without the presence of officials of the Kiev regime. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Argentina, a leaked video reveals how the government and the channel Todo Noticias manipulated an interview to protect the president. The interview, conducted by Jonathan Viale, political operator of Clarín Group, intended to clean Milei's image after the scandal caused by the scam carried out by the Libra cryptocurrency. However, an unedited version was leaked, where his advisor Santiago Caputo interrupts the conversation and speaks in Milei's ear, since the president was confessing that he is going to resort to the state mechanism through the Ministry of Justice to save him in a case that is spread by pro-government media as a problem between private parties. After the interruption, the interviewer accepts the correction and asks the president how to follow up. In Argentina, the opposition benches in Congress asked to impeach President Javier Milei, who is involved in an alleged scam and illicit association for cryptocurrencies. The court was decided by lottery to investigate whether President Milei was involved in illicit association, fraud, and non-compliance with the duties of a public servant, among other crimes. The deputies of the opposition, Unión por la Patria, announced that they will promote the political trial against Milei in Congress, while other political forces are asking for an investigative commission and the president to be questioned. Also, some people online have accused Milei of what is known as a rug pull, where promoters of a cryptocurrency attract buyers only to stop trading activity and take the money raised from sales. In other news, in Ecuador, the executive secretary of the Citizens Revolution Party, Andrés Arauz, denounced irregularities in 700 electoral tallies. The acts challenged by the movement, considered fraudulent, were located in the provinces of Esmeralda and Sucumbíos. Through his profile on the social media X, Arauz affirmed that Citizens Revolution could add 2 more seats in the National Assembly if votes are corrected, consolidating itself as the main political force in the legislative body, with 69 seats out of the 67 it already holds. The National Electoral Council intends to proclaim the official results of the vote tally before March 22nd, while Luisa González and Daniel Noboa prepare for the runoff election scheduled for April 13th. And in Colombia, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees warned about the increase of a humanitarian crisis in the territory of Catatumbo. Miguel Girard, the organization's representatives in Colombia, said that 84,621 people had been displaced by guerrilla violence. The official pointed out that the violence in Catatumbo has generated the largest mass displacement in recorded history, with communities and families confined with restricted mobility and limited access to food, medical care, and humanitarian aid. Other sources report that at least 56 people have been killed in clashes that began on January 16th in the region between the ELN and the 33rd Front of the FARC dissidents. And in Bolivia, on Monday, at least 30 people died and 15 were injured after a passenger bus fell into an 800-meter deep abyss in the town of Yocaya, south of the country. For the accident, which occurred at a narrow 2-way road located between the cities of Potosí and Oruro, the total number of passengers has yet to be reported. Regarding the causes, authorities stated their initial theory points out to high-speed driving. According to figures from the Ministry of Government, approximately 1,400 people died every year in traffic accidents in Bolivia, mainly due to reckless driving and mechanical failures. And the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries of Uruguay informed about presence of avian influenza in the national territory. Due to the detection of an outbreak of avian influenza in the town of Tres Isletas, department of Maipú, province of Chaco, in Argentina, the Uruguayan authorities declared a state of sanitary alert throughout the national territory. The Animal Health Division of MGAP stated that it is essential to report any mortality of wild domestic birds. Avian influenza is an infectious disease that mainly affects birds, but when it is transmitted to humans, the symptoms can range from a mild infection to severe pneumonia, shock, and even death. Parliament authorities of Venezuela and Cuba signed a memorandum to strengthen fraternal relations between the two countries. The President of the National Assembly of Cuba, Esteban Lasso, received his Venezuelan counterpart, Jorge Rodriguez. During the encounter, the diplomats highlighted the relations between the two brotherly nations, in addition to ratifying their will to strengthen and expand interparliamentary ties. They also signed a memorandum of understanding between the two legislative bodies, which will promote cooperation and exchange experiences. The meeting was held with the traditional military ceremony, which preceded the interpretation of the notes of both national anthems.
We can only thank the people of Cuba, their government, the President of the National Assembly for their gesture, and ratify here, in the Simon Bolivar Hall of the beautiful capital of the Republic of Cuba. Ratify for the brotherly peoples of Cuba and Venezuela, the people of Fidel, the people of Hugo Chavez, that we will be united in the battle and victory. Forever, we will win.
Now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Israeli forces continue their presence in 5 points of the Lebanese border in violation of the ceasefire agreement and after the deadline for its withdrawal from the south of Lebanon has expired. According to local media, the Lebanese armed forces are deploying little by little to counter the Israeli presence in the territory, despite the fact that the advance is being hampered by explosives and damage to roads. On the other hand, several tanks and vehicles of the Israeli occupation were reportedly seen advancing early morning Tuesday towards the city of Kfar Shuba, carrying explosive material to prepare imminent bombardments in the area. The Lebanese army has begun to remove the mounds of earth at the northern entrance to Jarun to make way for residents, while in the town of Hula, villagers are waiting for permission to enter. And in Israel, citizens protested near the home of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to demand his acceptance of a deal to free hostages in Gaza. Demonstrators demanded the Prime Minister to comply with the ceasefire agreement in order to achieve the release of their loved ones. Reportedly, during the first phase of this truce, 33 Israeli hostages were to be released in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, which has not been fully complied with by the Netanyahu government. And Israeli police detained demonstrators demanding an extension of the ceasefire agreement to release more hostages in Gaza. The ceasefire agreement, which was violated by the Zionist occupation forces, came into force on January 19th. Israel carried out a genocide in the Gaza Strip for more than 15 months, killing more than 48,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children. And in the United Kingdom, parliamentarians called Monday for a suspension of trade with Israel. Over 60 parliamentarians from various parties made the request to impose a blanket veto on products imported from Israel. The members of parliament consider that trade agreements between Tel Aviv and London do not meet the requirements of international norms. Congressmen also declared that eliminating trade with this land is one of the first steps in fulfilling international morale and leadership. And in Saudi Arabia, talks began between representatives of Russia and the United States to make progress in restoring relations and addressing the end of the conflict in Ukraine, but without the presence of officials of the Kiev regime. Russia, represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Presidential Advisor for International Affairs Yuri Ushakov, On the U.S. side are Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and White House Special Envoy for Middle East Affairs Steve Witkoff. The meeting being held this Tuesday in the capital Riyadh will also seek to advance the organization of a meeting between the leaders of the two countries, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. The two leaders held a telephone conversation in which they discussed the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East, the exchange of prisoners, the Iranian nuclear program, and bilateral relations. For its part, the Chinese government says it hopes all parties and stakeholders can participate in peace talks over the Ukraine conflict as top U.S. and Russian diplomats meet in Saudi Arabia.
On Ukraine crisis, the Chinese side has always believed that dialogue and negotiation are the only viable way to resolve the crisis. We always insist on peace and dialogue. We are happy to see all efforts towards peace, including the consensus reached by the United States and Russia on peace talks. At the same time, we hope that all parties and stakeholders can participate in the peace talks in due course.
South Korea's Constitutional Court decided on Tuesday to hold the 10th and final hearing in the impeachment trial of President Yoon Suk-yeol on Thursday 20th. The criminal trial of the president, who is accused of rebellion for declaring martial law, will begin on the same day. The Constitutional Court rejected a request by Yoon's defense to postpone the hearing so that the two trials do not coincide on the same day. If Yoon's impeachment is upheld, new early presidential elections will be called within 60 days of the court's ruling. In Brazil, the local measurement system recorded a temperature of 44 degrees in Rio de Janeiro, the highest on record since 2014. The Rio Alert system reported that the maximum temperature reached 44 degrees Celsius in the Guaratiba neighborhood in the western part of the city. The institution also pointed out that the city entered heat level 4, the second highest level of the protocol to fight against extreme heat. In this sense, the heat wave is expected to continue, which could lead the city to decree the maximum level of alert and would mean the possibility of suspending outdoor events in the country. Paraguay's Vice Minister of the Rural Association, Seferino Mendes, reported that more than 40,000 animals had been displaced as a result of the severe drought in the country. The official also explained that the water shortage has forced many families to move and to relocate their animals, some of which do not survive the journey. It is worth highlighting that the La Niña phenomenon influences the ongoing drought, which experts forecast to remain for a while. In this context, the water deficit has been since 2024 and has a serious impact on the Paraguayan economy, especially affecting the productive and energy sector, one of its main economic pillars. And in the United States, heavy rains and hurricane-force winds caused the death of at least 13 people in the state of Kentucky as a new wave of extreme cold and snow is expected. According to the National Weather Service, some areas of Kentucky and Tennessee have experienced over 6 inches of rain. In the last few hours, heavy rainfall generated flash flooding with more than 1,000 people rescued across the state. The storm has left obstructed roads, damaged buildings, and power outages affecting hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses in Kentucky, Tennessee, and other states across the country. Strong winds are expected to continue across the Northeast throughout Monday night, with a new storm already underway that will bring scattered snowfall across the mountain range. We now have a second short break coming up before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. From a short break, go away. Welcome back. In the United States, hundreds of people protested against President Donald Trump and his policies at rallies held on the President's Day holiday. Nearly 1,000 people marched in the snow from the state capitol in Boston to the City Hall, shouting slogans like "Elon Musk must go." These protests had denounced Trump and his advisor, billionaire Elon Musk, who heads the Department of Government Efficiency, on an entity outside the government aimed at cutting federal spending. The marches followed a series of Trump's executive orders and took place just days after staff cuts were reported at several federal agencies as part of an effort to reduce the government's workforce.
It was important to be here on President's Day to demonstrate for what America stands for. American values are not the values of the plutocracy or the limited few rich people. American values are about what we are as a country all together. It's about inclusion, it's about working together, it's about checks and balances, and all of that I'm afraid of being eroded with the current administration. I'm very concerned about the cuts in healthcare and healthcare research. I'm very concerned about the cuts in the federal spending because the federal government provides a lot of services and checks and balances and proper regulation to keep our country moving forward.
It felt like I could finally see how many of us there are and how many of us are unhappy with the way that this country is moving. It's disappointing, truly, and I thought we'd already been through this.
And South Africa could turn to Russia or Iran to expand its civilian nuclear power capacity amidst tensions with the United States. South Africa's Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources and a leading advocate for nuclear capacity expansion, Wade Mantashe, added that his country will accept any offer on the table with the best terms. The South African government, which operates Africa's only nuclear power plant, plans to add 2,500 megawatts of new capacity to address the power cuts that have affected the country's economy. This decision could deepen tensions with Washington, which have intensified after President Donald Trump issued a wide-ranging executive order suspending aid to South Africa. In Germany, British actress Tilda Swinton denounced inhumane treatment and genocide in Gaza at the opening of the 75th Berlin International Film Festival. This year, the British actress was awarded the honorary Golden Bear in recognition of her career. During her words of gratitude, she lashed out at the actions of some world leaders who allowed conflicts and sieges in various territories, such as Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. The actress, known for her role in Michael Clayton and Once Upon a Time There Was a Genius, also expressed her desire for an inclusive and racism-free film industry. Berlinale 2025 will feature films from more than 30 countries, including European and non-European countries such as Argentina, Brazil, China, South Korea, Australia, Palestine, and Egypt. And the renowned Mexican singer Paquita La del Barrio passed away this Monday, February 17th, at the age of 77. Francisca Viveros Barradas, better known for her artistic name Paquita La del Barrio, died at her home in Veracruz, after battling for years with different health issues, among them diabetes and lung problems. Her death was announced through social media, where her relatives asked the people for space and understanding to mourn in peace. With more than 5 decades of artistic trajectory, the singer was renowned by her straightforward and authentic character, in addition to her famous songs against the male gender such as Rata de dos Patas y Tres veces te engañé. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. And to commemorate the artistic career of the Mexican singer Paquita La del Barrio, here is one of her greatest hits, Tres veces te engañé, from album of the same name released in 1993. For teleSUR English, I'm with Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.
Que me dejabas, yo que te esperaba, yo que tontamente siempre te era fiel. Desgraciadamente Hoy fue diferente, me topé con alguien, creo que sin querer. 3 veces te engañé, 3 veces te engañé, 3 veces te engañé. La primera por coraje, la segunda por capricho, la tercera por placer. 3 veces te engañé, 3 veces te engañé, 3 veces te engañé. Y después de esas 3 veces, y después de esas 3 veces, no quiero volverte a ver.